Okay, so motion limine number 3. This is Lively's opposition to Wafer's motion in limines. This one is to preclude evidence concerning alleged sexual assault. Defendant's motion limine number 3 fails to identify what specific evidence and or testimony they seek to preclude. Motion in limine should be denied on that basis alone, as it is impossible to discern from defendant's vague references what evidence they are seeking to exclude. That said, Lively may elicit testimony and or introduce evidence concerning admissions Baldoni has made to her during the film's production regarding his past sexual relationships, which Lively and others personally witnessed. For instance, in her declaration submitted in opposition to defendant's motion for summary judgment, Lively attested that at one point during the first phase of filming, I was in my car with Baldoni, security detail, and my assistant. During that drive, Baldoni divulged that he had not always asked for consent in sexual relationships and that he had not always listened when they said no. Prior to sharing this disturbing admission, Baldoni grabbed my female assistant's arm long and slow and said, "This stays in my car." Lively's driver / security offered corroborating testimony relating to Baldoni's statements in this car ride. To the extent motion limine number 3 is intended to exclude evidence and testimony concerning these admissions by Baldoni, it should be denied. This unsolicited sexual commentary is highly probative of Lively's reasonable good faith belief that she was subjected to sexual harassment in the workplace, a required element of her retaliation claim. Indeed, the court cited this evidence when analysing this element of her claim in its summary judgment decision and order, which clearly establishes its probative value and relevance. While it may be prejudicial to defendants, any prejudice does not substantially outweigh its critical probative value. In fact, any perceived prejudice is belied by the fact that Baldoni himself has spoken publicly about the same issues he confessed to Lively and others. And obviously she quotes a YouTube video, "I'm sure I have crossed boundaries and lines in my teens and 20s. What is more, this evidence is plainly admissible as, among other things, a statement by a party opponent made on a topic that is directly relevant to the case. Even the manner of the communication is relevant because the fact that Baldoni made this disclosure in the small confined space of a car where none of the passengers could avoid hearing him and all were present for work purposes only, combined with his warning that this stays in this car, suggests that he was aware he should not be saying it and did so anyway. For each of these reasons, motion limine number 3 should be denied. There's not much I can say about that, but there's a tipping point there because on its own, that kind of evidence I don't think should get in. However, Lively makes a good point at the end there, which I don't love, but I think I will agree with her, that it was said, in the confines of a car, and it was all the people there were there for employment purposes, i.e. they were, the security assistant, driver, etc., all hired for Lively. So that's a tough one to call. Yeah, I don't know how Judge Lyman's going to approach that one. I think it's more likely than not that he will allow that evidence. Okay, let's continue. And we actually have the security personnel's deposition transcript here. Well, we got an excerpt of it. So let's read this. Okay. I'm not sure who is I'm not sure who is doing the questioning. So partway through question, Tribeca to the New Jersey production office, 20 to 25 minutes. That's pretty good. No traffic that day. Was the radio on during any portion of that car ride? Objection. No. So Rosa is objecting. I don't know who's is obviously Wayfarer is questioning, but I don't know who yet. Question, and it was during that period of time where you heard Mr. Baldoni discuss his personal sexual experience. Is that correct? Yeah. Did you hear Mr. Baldoni discuss anything else during that car ride? Yes. Can you tell us what you heard him discuss during the car ride? He was discussing his sexual relations with women. As we were driving, he stated, and it took my focus off driving because I can't forget this, his sexual relations with women, how he was forced on, and he forced himself on women. To me, it was very out of the ordinary to meet somebody and talk like that in a vehicle. That's why it caught my attention. Basically, he kept talking about his sexual relations. And again, like I'm repeating myself, I believe, but he would force himself on women if they said no. That, he would revert back. It was just disturbing. Anything else that you can recall? While we were driving, for some reason, he pointed out his place of living. I'm sorry. His place of living in Jersey City as we were driving. I remember that. He, for some reason, had us pause, and then when we got to the production office, which was down the road from that area, I pulled over, let everybody out. I stated to Blake, I feel very uncomfortable. Something is not right here. I would like to do a background check on him or something. And later to learn that he was the producer in production of this movie. He wasn't the producer, though, he's the director. How did you learn that? Basically, when I brought up his name, everybody was like, he is part of the movie, Well, I shouldn't say it that way. Like Sophia and Blake said, that's the production guy, that movie. And okay, do you recall anything else discussed during that car ride other than what you already told us? I can go through it again. It just stuck in my head. It's just basically, I'm not asking you to repeat yourself. I'm asking, did you leave anything out? Him having sexual relations, force himself on women, women force themselves on him. It is straightforward. It is straightforward standard what went on in that car ride. He did ramble on about more stuff, but I didn't pay attention to it because I was focused on driving. It is those key points when someone says, forcing myself on women, women forced on me. I don't care. Like, it is disturbing to me. You can't forget something like that. Okay. So that is it mainly. Okay. Did his tone of voice or volume of speaking remain the same during the car ride, or were there periods of time where his voice was amplified or he started to talk lower or something? Objection. I don't recall. When in relation to them getting into the car, did he start to discuss these topics that you just raised? Objection. And if it's not clear, was it right away? Was it 5 minutes in? Was it closer to the production? 87. Oh, we're skipping the page. So we don't get to hear that. Halfway through a question, need to be on heightened alert or do anything different. Rosa objects. Not that I recall. Oh, so it's Shasta. Shasta's doing the question. Okay. Shasta says, I have nothing else. Rosa says, I have just a couple of questions before we go off. So Rosa's now asking, Mr. Alexander, you testified earlier with respect to a conversation in the car ride with Mr. Baldoni that he said something to the effect of that he forced himself on women. Do you recall that testimony? Yes. Do you recall Mr. Baldoni also sharing during that car ride something to the effect of he would force himself on women even when they said no or did not consent? Yes. See, I feel like that's leading. Then she asks, Mr. Baldoni's statements during that, right? Are we? Yeah. No, we jumped a page. Yes. And was it true that you were feeling? Was it true to what you were feeling at the time? Yes. Why didn't you want Miss Lively to be alone with Mr. Baldoni? Due to the conversation in the vehicle, the stuff he spoke about, sexual relations, forcing himself on women, no consent, or that he didn't give consent for a woman to force it on him. It's disturbing to me when you were first meeting someone and it just stuck out, and that's why I stated what I stated. You stated it was disturbing to you when you first meet somebody. Did you also find it disturbing that Mr. Baldoni would speak about forcing himself on women without consent to Miss Lively at any time, even if it wasn't their first meeting? Objection. He asked to repeat that. Would you find it appropriate for Mr. Baldoni to speak about forcing himself on women without consent? No. To Miss Lively, even if it wasn't the first time they met? Objection. No. Further, nothing further. And then Schuster then says, I have a few follow-ups, I'm sorry. You said it was the first car ride. Do you know if this was the first interaction between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, or was it your first interaction with Justin Baldoni? It was my first, and I don't recall if they were before the fact. I know you didn't read the book, but at the time, did you have any understanding of what this movie was about? No. Did you have any understanding that it was about domestic violence? Oh dear. Page 90. So we're just skipping a page. And then he's partway through a question. Take following that car ride to ensure that Blake Lively would not be alone with Justin Baldoni. Objection. Repeat the question. Sure, you said that you did not want Miss Lively to be alone with Mr. Baldoni going forward after the car ride, correct? Correct. Objection. What, if anything, did you do to ensure that Miss Lively would not be alone with Mr. Baldoni going forward? Objection. I don't recall. This is a security, and he doesn't recall what action he took to make sure that she was not alone with him. She was alone with him a lot. She got on a plane with him alone, for fuck's sake. Did you consider yourself a driver/security, or something else? Objection. A driver/security. And as you sit here today, those are the words you recall Mr. Baldoni using, that he forced himself on other women without consent? Yes. Anything else you can recall specifically Mr. Baldoni said in that car ride? He had women force themselves on him as well without consent. That was part of the car ride, a back and forth scenario. Did you hear any context for why he brought this up? Objection. Not that I know of. Okay, thank you, sir. And then they go off the record. Interesting. So I'm a little bit, I don't know. I think that's fascinating. I don't think that deposition was as helpful as it first appears. Like, the guy couldn't remember the tone. He couldn't remember, you know, like the volume of Justin Baldoni's voice. He just remembered that specific thing. He couldn't remember anything else. Now, we all have seen Blake Lively's text messages to Brennan Sklanard, to Jenny Slate, where she kind of and Colin Hoover, where she helpfully reminds them of all these things that Wayfarer, that Baldoni said or did. Oh God, can you remember he did this and he said that? And it's just little helpful prompts. What is disturbing though is this guy is supposed to be the security, right? That was the first time he met Justin Baldoni in Blake Lively's presence. It wasn't Blake Lively's first time, obviously, with Justin Baldoni. But then what kind of security is this where he carried on allowing them to be, on their own together? Like, Justin Baldoni spent all that time over at her apartment. They got on a private plane together. He was invited to Blake Lively's trailer to go and talk. If you remember the text message, "Oh, I'm pumping," that was around this time, if not after it. I just find it selective. This guy remembers that and only that. All right. We'll go. Next one is I think the next one's quite a bit longer actually, but it's motion limine 4, which would be to preclude all references to other clients of Melissa Nathan and Jed Wallace. And I guarantee this is going to be about Johnny Depp in regards to Melissa Nathan. And it'll probably be redacted, but I have no doubt it will be Bam Margera as well. So, or Johnny Knoxville. So, yeah, I think it'll be about that case for him. I'll be back with the next video.